In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to get your grades up in that final quarter, final week stretch. This question and this topic was requested by a YouTube viewer and subscriber by the name of Jordan Schrader. And so let's get right into it. How do you increase your grades when you are in the final quarter of the year or the final weeks of that quarter? And so those are two separate things. We're gonna cover the first one, the final quarter of the year, because I think that's probably what Jordan's more interested in. So um, usually how grading systems work, and of course it varies depending on the school, the state, and so forth, but generally speaking, they do some type of average. So what that means is, if you get a B and then in the first quarter, and then an A in the second quarter, and then a B in the third quarter, and then an A in the fourth, they will average that out to be, usually they'll round up. So the two B's, two A's, it's an A. And so obviously, that has an impact. First off, what I like to usually do is some math. So I figure out how much can I increase it or decrease it, or how much will it just stay the same. There's some situations where when you do the math, and this has definitely happened to me, where I realized, no matter what I did, even if I got an A on this last quarter, it would not affect my overall GPA. Sometimes that just happens. Like if you get, let's say you got B, 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 even if you get an A in the final quarter, the best you can get is maybe a B. And so that can sometimes help you, because then you realize, oh, I can actually just aim for that B. I don't have to, put that much pressure on myself. And then you get the B, it's less stressful. And in some rare situations, there's like a couple that happen where, I did the math, and when you, at least in my school, the midterm and the final also factored in. And so I did the math, and I had finished all the quarters except for the final, and I realized I could get a D on this, and it would still not affect my overall score, which drastically changed everything. I was there like cramming for a few nights before the final, and then I realized it, and I was like, whoa, I can take a break. I can watch some YouTube now. So that being said, let's just say you're in the final quarter and you still need to improve for whatever reason. You're still aiming to get that better grade, and you want to do that in the final quarter of the year. How do you do it? How do you really pull that one out when maybe historically you haven't been progressing well? I think part of it is kind of setting realistic expectations. Um, sure, it would be great if you can pull some type of miracle, and let's say you're getting like C's, and you're probably not gonna jump to an A in the final quarter. It's possible, so you can still have hope, but have some realistic expectations. A B is definitely within reach. Same thing with D's to A's. So having that realistic approach can kind of help you out, especially for those folk who are super hard on themselves, or just put too much pressure on themselves and then stress themselves out too much. Now, what can you do to actually start improving your results? I suggest starting with some low-hanging fruit. So what do I mean by that? Low-hanging fruit are things that are easy to do and have the biggest impact, or moderate or noticeable impact on your grades, without putting that much effort in. And these are the biggest changes, easiest changes, first things that you should probably start doing. For school, that usually ends up being homework. Now, many people might think homework is hard or difficult, or so forth, but when you really piece it down to like just one homework assignment from one class per day, it's usually fairly simple. And then it's basically something, especially if it's not a advanced level class, it's usually something you could finish in 5, 10, 20 minutes max. And considering the fact that you have 5, 6, 7 hours after you get home to of free time, maybe even more, it's like nothing. And so when you start doing this, you usually get participation points just for trying or finishing it or completing it. especially in like classes like math class where they're just looking to see that you complete it, not so much even if you like got all the answers right. And so that starts adding up. You do one homework assignment, 20 minutes, 10 minutes a day. All of a sudden you start racking in points every single day. Those points start adding up. The weeks of points start adding up. Soon enough, you got something serious going that will impact you. So that's the first big low-hanging fruit. The next one is really just understanding concepts, learning. Surprise, surprise. But I think a lot of people just kind of see school as this system to be played. And while it can be, think about it. When it comes to school, they're trying to teach you something. And so a lot of the times people will kind of make the mistake of just going through the motions. What I mean by that? Well, oftentimes they're not listening in class. And when they do the homework, they just go to the back of the book, find the answers, and fill it out. Now, while that games the systems and gets you the points in record time, you don't actually learn anything. You don't learn your multiplication tables or your math skills or calculus or certain English principles. You don't learn whatever it is they're trying to teach, whether that's a scientific principle or point in history. So the next big pivot point is to actually start to cement some of these things. I'm going to use math as an example because there's a lot of kind of recurring themes in there. So with math class, usually they'll kind of repeat and pound in a specific process, a specific formula or specific skill. And they just keep giving you exercises until you learn and you actually realize how to do that problem using that formula. And I think one big pivot point I started making is rather than just kind of being like, oh, this sucks, why do I have to do this, and then go home and just play video games all day, I was like, I started to actually like take the time to learn. And so you can start off with the snowball method, which means start slow and then grow from there. So you might want to start with just like 5-10 minutes, which really is nothing when you're given hours every day after school. But 5-10 minutes, just kind of reviewing the notes you took in class. And that was another thing. I started actually taking notes. Like oftentimes the teachers do kind of spoon feed it to you. They literally kind of write it on the chalkboard and everyone basically has to copy it down into the notes. So I often had the notes already. I just never reviewed them. And then the big change I made was I was like, you know what? Maybe I should start reviewing this a bit. And by doing that, even for 5-10 minutes a day, I started realizing, oh, so that's how you do the problem. And usually in class, they went so fast that I couldn't keep up. But then when I got home, had that extra time, I kind of kept going over and over again what the teacher said, and all of a sudden I got it. I was like, oh, that's how you do the problem. And then, when you do the homework, it cements it even more because you get to do it a few times. And all of a sudden it started working. So those are kind of the big points I want to give you. And again, I'm kind of assuming that you're kind of at this point where you're kind of at that more so intermediate level where you're not doing a lot of this. Now, if you're already kind of an advanced level and you're getting those A's already or those B pluses, that's a different story, especially if you're taking very advanced placement classes. But I'm assuming that's not the case with you. And so those are my big tips. Like, subscribe, comment. See you later.